So thanks a lot for having me. Good morning, everybody. I'm not going to talk about Mobilitas as previously advised, but my presentation is going to dwell upon a little bit the concepts of sustainable transportation and future mobility. As I'm a professor, I'm going to have a little bit of talk, just a little bit, about the concept, and then I will speak about some of the projects that we have dealt with in Venice lately. Defining sustainable transportation is not as easy as one may think. I think the most proper way to do it is to refer to the definition of sustainable development that I'm showing now. There are many definitions of sustainable development. The one that I like the most is the one of Brundtland, 1987, which is probably the original one as far as I'm aware. So sustainable development is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. If we accept this definition, well, the reverse definition, so what is not sustainable, comes easier. So what are the actions that prevent the future generation to have to meet their own needs? By doing this, we should consider that we have a plurality of perspectives about this, and generally the aims of single groups are conflicting. And so even solution that you can deem sustainable in the first place may be unsustainable, as you see on the slide. Everybody loves bike, but when bikes are too much, you have this situation that is shown in this slide. And so coming back to transportation, which is something that I feel more comfortable with, what are the defining characteristics of unsustainability in transportation? Well, first of all, the finite nature of resources. If we move to one origin to a destination, we burn a form of energy, and this energy does not come back. By doing this, we generally produce impacts on both the global sphere, so the ones generally connected to global warming, and also on the local scale, so what we call criteria pollutants, local impacts, and so on, which are carbon monoxide, particulate, sulfite, oxides, and so on. Not only that, we also have the risks of being involved in an accident. It happens very frequently, unfortunately, on Italian roads lately. But also being stuck in congestion, we produce noise, and we also have some other environmental and natural impacts. A little issue about this: all these impacts need to be connected with a high level of mobility. What I mean here is that we can reduce all the impacts if we reduce the level of mobility, if we reduce our travels, if we reduce our quality of life. But this is not what is meant by unsustainable transportation. So actually, the definition of sustainable transportation, either in this case, we have many definitions in the literature. The one that I like the most comes from a very fortunate book of William Black that was issued in 2010. And so sustainable transportation can be defined as you may reading. So a system that provides mobility for all using renewable energy resources, minimizes harmful emissions at both global and local levels, and avoids accidents and congestion as much as possible. Please consider that we are not referring here as to single transportation modes, but instead also to integrated transport systems. so that I can have a sustainable transportation using more modes rather than one. In this context, I think it's key the importance of transport planning, because it changes quite much from the in the last couple of decades. Before, I would say, the last uprising of sustainability in both literature and in society, the aims of transport planning were mainly focusing on performances. I do whatever kind of transport plan to improve the performances of a dispatchment from A to B, either referring to passengers or to freight. And the consequence of this philosophy was a big failure to contain the effect. Transport is generally considered to be one of the most polluting sector in society nowadays. And this is really a consequence of this way of seeing transport planning. What changed in the last times was a huge awareness to the unsustainability in the individual choice, and so the focus has changed, passing from improvement of performances to minimizing the effects. It always remains to be understood, where are we heading now, and where are we heading? Yes, we are heading in three directions. The first one is we try to use cleaner fuels and to move to zero emission vehicles. I'm going to show that it's not as easy as one may think. We're moving to automation. I think in the next year, this is going to be to impact dramatically the transportation market. And then info mobility and sharing, this has been covered in the previous presentation already. I'm going to say something also myself. So fuels. Improving fuels means using fuels that do not pollute as much as the current ones, or more energy efficient fuels. But what is the actual availability of these fuels? First of all, we have many fuels that are more sustainable than the traditional ones, ranging from compressed natural gas, methanol, ethanol, hydrogen, hybrid, and whatever, and electric also, obviously. But what I'm trying to show here is that it is also a problem of how we assess emissions, because the general part, what vehicle producers like the most, is to try to assess emissions using the tank to wheel way. That means focusing entirely on vehicle operation, which is obviously absolutely not correct, because this does not take into account the so-called well-to-tank phase, so the one connected to energy production. Let me be clear with an example here. If we have two vehicles making the same path and driven by the same driver, the differences in using different kinds of energy may range up to 20% as far as pollution is concerned. So it's quite huge. This was also the way in which this kind of phenomenon was treated in literature, just because researchers were very worried about how to contain uncertainty in the evaluation of well-to-tank. But now I think that we have made some huge progress, and this progress should in a way influence the way in which we are referring to the calculation of emissions. You may see in the slide that the most correct way to assess the emissions is to refer to the so-called LCA, life cycle assessment, but this brings into account a couple of phases with which we have some problems, as far as I'm aware, in containing the uncertainty. So both in the vehicle production area and in recycling, we are not arrived yet where we should. This is my personal view. Second point, automation. We're going very fast to the path in which in which vehicles will not be driven by drivers anymore. This will bring three main theoretical advantages: the operational efficiency, human errors will be reduced, so safety, minimization of accidents, and also sustainability if we can improve fuel efficiency, and this brings a reduction of emissions. That reduction of emissions that is linked to driver style. This is also can be measured up to 15%. Where are we going? We're going to autonomous vehicles. Car, trucks, and drones will be probably driven without a driver in 10-15 years from now, maybe earlier. Autonomous railway system. We have some autonomous system in subways already, and so in the urban surrounding, and also in logistic automation. Robots and drones will be used for managing and delivering goods. But is this really sustainable? Because we have three kinds of challenges that need to be addressed. First of all, the regulation. We do not have laws for that call for the presence of autonomous vehicles in the most state of the Union. Second issue, this is a big one, cybersecurity. Are we sure that our nets are protected by hacker attacks? This is an open question to me. And then employment. If we introduce a strong percentage of automation in our life, obviously employment, the employment connected to the transportation sector is going to be affected, and this opens a question, a social question that probably needs to be addressed. Third point, I said this has been covered by the previous presentation already. Mass is, as you have seen, not only a theory, but it is become a concrete possibility that we can use to move. That said, what are the projects in which we have been involved? The first project that I'm going to speak about is the project Mobilitas that started in 2016 and went up to 2019. It was a very successful project from my point of view, a project in which at the very start I was not strongly believing in. We had examined the touristic displacement were at destination. So basically how the people were moving when they had reached their hotel on their B&B already. I thought that it was a kind of nonsense. I can say it even if I'm recorded. It has been one of the biggest busts of my career, because this has been actually a very successful project that involved inter alia the municipality of Misano Adriatico and the strategic plan agency of Rimini. Second project that was led by the municipality of Rimini is Smart Commuting 2017-2020. This has been financed by the Interreg Central Europe, and the previous one by Interreg Med. Well, the name probably describes the project already. We have dealt with 7 European functional urban areas in which the car dependency was very, very high. And even in this case, we have reached some substantial solutions that were tailored on each area. Third project was Smile. Smile dealt specifically with the first and the last mile of both passenger and logistics. This has been led by the Regional Development Agency of Koper in Slovenia, and involved our university as a scientific partner. This has been a very interesting project that that lasted three years, and that was followed up always in the Interreg Hadrian by Smile Plus. That was the implementation of the Smile concepts in the after the pandemics of 2020. This is another initiative that we are carrying on currently, ENCLODE 2024-2026, that is based on the use of public big data. This is also has been funded by Interreg Central Europe, and this project is led by the province of Vicenza. Sometimes we also manage to work with local authorities. The challenges are how to thrive these data and how to use them for public transport sustainability. We are trying to develop local action plans. This project, as I said, is we're still in the middle of this one, so I cannot report on definitive results. We are also working with Brenner Highways. We are at the end of the third research contract. We have studied the relationship between their huge digitalization plan and the consequences in terms of impact. This has also been a quite productive cooperation from my point of view. And then the last project I'm going to dwell upon is something I'm very proud of this project, SCUDO, Safe and Comprehensive Urban Development and Transport Management for Disruption Resilient Operations. This is an Horizon Europe initiative that is going to start the 1st of May and will be focused on the resilience of public transport systems. Universities are involved in this, a part of IUAV, Technical University of Delft, Technical University of Munich, and Technical University of Athens. It is a very huge partnership. I'm going to expect quite huge results from these cooperations. We are having Venice as a case study, so a very peculiar case study. In conclusions, I think that we have a couple of steps that are going to help us to react to future challenges of mobility. First of all, we need to leverage technological innovation. It's there already. We cannot ignore the problem is how to use this. And then it's also going to develop a new way of making transport planning. These it's not about how to design and to implement roads and railways, but it's about how to use these systems in order to reduce the impact. This is going probably to be the next driver of transport planning in the next decades. So thank you very much.